Hey friends, Shauna from GlitterGiveSomeMore.com. We're going to do a video on how we created this It's Fall Y'all glitter tumbler. I sell glitter tumblers. I sell glitter and ready-to-use water slides. You can find all this at GlitterGiveSomeMore.com. I started with a copper spray-painted 20-ounce modern curve cup, and then I used electrical tape to tape off the center triangle. I figured out the dimensions by taking a circle. Well, I traced a circle out of the top of the cup, folded that in half, and that gave me the two side points of where the top of the V was going to be. And then I traced the circle out of the bottom of the cup, folded that in half, cut that, and then I folded it in half again, and that gave me the center point for the V to aim to. I hope that makes sense. It's very similar to how I did it with the breast cancer awareness cup that I listed last week. So that one I think I explained and showed a little bit better. If you have any questions, you can sneak back to that video and take a peek. You can also eyeball it too, totally up to you. So I use Mod Podge when I am glittering most of the time. I use matte Mod Podge, and this is just the first layer of glitter. When I do the first layer of glitter, I'm aiming for coverage. I still want a little bit of an ombre, but it's not going to make or break the cup if it's not perfect on this layer of glitter. So the first glitter color used was Plum Passion, followed by Latte Love. Fall Frenzy is going on now, and all of these are metallic glitters, so they'll have full opaque coverage, which is why the color of the cup itself, the base color, doesn't matter so much. And we're going to finish up with Copper Craze. Perfect fall colors. We're going to let that dry and dry brush it off with a hard bristle brush. That just pulls any excess glitter off of the cup so it doesn't gook up your brush and mix the colors with the next layer of Mod Podge. Any hard bristle brush will do. And you want to definitely wait until your Mod Podge is dry. I have learned many times that I sometimes don't wait long enough, and I end up taking some glitter off and having to fix the cup because I tried dry brushing too soon. So when I'm starting my second layer of Mod Podge, I start at the lighter color and go down, make sure I get smooth coverage on the Mod Podge. And then I start with the second layer. The same colors that I did the last time. You have a little bit of leeway if you want more of one color or less of another. You can adjust that here. So the colors again were Plum Passion, Latte Love, Fall Frenzy, and Copper Craze. And you'll see as I'm doing the ombre, the more I tilt my cup down and the higher my jar goes up from the cup, the more sprinkle down you have, and that's where you're going to get the ombre mix of the two glitter colors instead of having a hard line. And they have all kinds of tricks and tips that you can do to get better ombre. Some people use tea strainers. Some people use like salt and pepper shakers. If you're new to it, the easiest way to get a good ombre is to use two of the same. The easiest way to get an ombre is to use two of the very similar colored glitters, so different shades of the same colored glitter. And that just helps to get the feel for the transitioning without having real harsh lines, and then you can work your way into other more distinct, different colors. We leave the tape on the cups until we finish the second layer of glitter, and then we're going to take the tape off while it's wet. And I do pull all of the tape up at this point so that I can pat down the edges so that there's no real hard edges along the glitter lines, and that's going to help with the epoxy layer. Okay, so I've already pulled off the tape. Now you'll see at the top of the triangle and at the bottom I've retaped it again, just so that gives me a nice line for the glitter we're adding now. And I freehand in my Mod Podge for that triangle portion. You still want to try to get it as smooth as possible. It's a little tougher for me in the tips of the triangle, just because you can't get your brush to be completely flat. But we are going to do two layers of glitter again, so the first layer isn't necessarily as crucial as the second layer is, and it's always easier, in my opinion, to get a smoother second layer of Mod Podge than it is the first. And we are still doing two layers of glitter. I think I just said that. We're still doing 2 layers of glitter for the center, but we're going to end up changing colors because at first I used Vintage Vibes because it is one of my favorite colors of like a champagne glitter. But I just didn't love the way it looked with the colors already on the cup. So we let that dry brush that off. And I am changing the color to a more golden tone. I'm going to have to wait until the video tells me what it was because I totally forgot what the name of it was. But you see, we're just freehanding the Mod Podge in there. Like I said, it's easier, in my opinion, to get that second layer of Mod Podge smooth than it is the first. And you'll have to excuse any background noise you hear today. My children are all home and bored, so they keep coming to check on me. All right, so that's the glitter that we changed to. It's a custom mix. Oh, Glam Gold. It's a custom mix I created that I have to get listed in the shop still, but I procrastinate, so I haven't listed it yet. I still remove the tape when it's wet, give a little pat down along the edges to make sure everything is nice and smooth and easier for epoxy. So at this point, I have already epoxied the cup, and we're creating that peekaboo section for the middle of the cup. So it's been epoxied smooth. I cut 2 different decals. This part is for the peekaboo portion of the cup, where we're going to take it, leave it on there, spray paint it. I ended up spray painting it white, but did an overlay of a few different colors to get that speckled tone. And then I also cut an offset pat on the same decal. And I cut them at the same time so that there are no issues with sizing, so my overlay fits perfectly over where my peekaboo is going to be. I do it in Illustrator. You can absolutely do it in Cricut, but I don't know how. I believe there are tutorials on it. If you want to search YouTube, that should be a great assistance if that's what you're looking to learn how to do. So I'm just placing, everywhere I place the decals is where the paint will not go on the cup. Now we're going to paint off the V because I don't want paint getting onto the rest of the glitter or my cup. So I'm using wide painter's tape for that on either side. And then I'm going to tape off that top edge as well so I don't get any on my silver rim. Now when I take this outside to spray paint, I am going to spray paint it white first, like I said, but then I use 3 different colors over the white spray paint to get a speckled look. There wasn't a perfect color to go with what I envisioned for the cup, so I ended up using the 3, and I didn't do full coverage on it. I wanted it to look speckled, for lack of a better word, but those spray paints, that's after we spray painted the cup, you'll see the speckled look. And the spray paints we used are right there. Oh, it was the flat white, the rose gold, and that metallic-y spray paint. So now I'm going through and I'm removing the vinyl peekaboo section of the cup, and I do some of this in front of you guys, but I'm not gonna lie, I sneak off to the side to do the rest because it's just easier for me to concentrate. But this is how I do it. I just slowly go through, pull the vinyl up, and there it is done. This is the offset, and I applied the offset right on top of where the peekaboo was, and then I went over with a coat. Oh, I also did the small strips. Now these small strips, I wanted so tiny. I normally use my paper cutter, but I wanted them super thin. So I went and did it with the Cricut. And you just do that by creating a rectangle in the width and length that you want. I can't exactly remember what size I chose for these ones, but they were super skinny. I mean, I just did it real thin. And then I applied them by hand like I do stickers, and then trimmed them off with a box cutter. Now these vinyl pieces is a metallic foil vinyl, and they're so thin, so they would lift easily, at least in my experience, when I epoxy. So I went ahead and did a coat of Quickset in order to get those to lay flat before I went to my next layer of epoxy. And this is after the first layer, or well, the layer of Quickset that I did, quick coat. And that is the epoxied cup. I love the sparkle of this glitter. It is absolutely stunning in person. If you have any questions, feel free to touch base. If you want to grab the glitters, it's glittergiftsandmore.com. Thanks so much, guys.